Dr. Werfel. Welcome back to Total Life Enhancement Series. I want to thank you for taking the few minutes to listen to this post. This post we're going to be talking in particular about journaling. And I want to tell you, journaling, one of the posts we did a bunch back is we talked about habits. And we talked about how habits are really cool in the sense that habits are nature or God's way of allowing us to take whatever's really important to us, whatever we do frequently, and let it become automatic. Let it become something that just gets deep roots and just happens very effortlessly, autonomically, automatically. And journaling is one of those great things that you can get into like that. So there's three types of journalings I want to talk about. And one type that we've already discussed on a few of these recent posts was gratitude journaling. Gratitude journaling is fantastic, and that's the type of journal that you're going to want to keep. It's the kind of journal that you're going to, and you could do it right at night before you go to sleep. You can do it right when you wake up, or you could do it any time throughout the day, but you're going to want to set a consistent time. I would definitely recommend doing at least a minute or two or three of gratitude journaling right before you go to sleep, because the state that you go to sleep in very frequently will have a dramatic effect on your sleep and the state you wake up in. And then I would also recommend it'd be great if you have the wherewithal or the discipline or desire or passion or commitment within you to want to do that gratitude journaling also in the morning. That would be great as well, to just, as you get up, write down things you're grateful for again. That's just a great habit to do it before you go to sleep and when you first wake up. So gratitude journaling is pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy. You're basically writing down things like, I am grateful and appreciate that I had an excellent time today with my son Max and Cole and my daughter Juliana. Had a great time. We went to the virtual thing in the mall, and you're basically just writing down all the things that you're grateful for. And what's really cool about gratitude journaling is when you catch yourself in a down state or a rough mood, or when you need a pick-me-up, you need a lift, it's really easy to go back to your gratitude journal and to read back, and you'll notice like, wow, just 2 days ago I was really psyched and happy about all those things, and a day before that I was happy about these things, and the day before that. So it's kind of cool when you're going through a little bit of a rough time or a little bit of a down state that you can use the very recent past and how you felt about those things you were grateful for to lift you up. So that's one thing. The other kind of journaling I want to talk to you about is called like more of a brain drain journaling. This is really good when if you want to enhance your creativity by clearing out your mind, and it's also good if you're really feeling kind of stressed or fearful and you want to have an expression, an ability to express and to push that stuff out. So brain drain journaling, I learned about this first by an author named Julia Cameron, who wrote a book called The Artist's Way. I learned about this I can't remember how many years ago. It must be close to 20 years ago now, I think. But there was a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and she used what she called the morning pages as one of the tools in her it was like a 12-step recovery for artists to get through artist blocks and to get back into their creativity. But remember, every one of us, we create in our life, and I talked about this in the past. We create through the things we speak, the things we do, through our thoughts, words, and our actions, through what we think, what we speak, and what we do. That's the kind of the formula for creation. Through what we think, what we speak, and what we do. And so brain drain is kind of a cool thing to do. What I recommend, this is not exactly the way she says to do it, but what I'll recommend that you do is you take a journal, and first thing in the morning you get in the habit of just free flow consciousness. You're writing down everything, and very much like the Waburger Inside of Cries video I did about getting stuff out of you. Very much just write down, like kind of moaning on paper, getting it all out, getting all the fears, the concerns, just writing everything down. And notice if your mind doesn't want to write something, meaning if there's something you're really scared about, worried about, notice that you may not even want to write it because you think if you write it, you're going to give it more power. I want you to know that those are the things you really need to write, because if you don't write them, that means if you're not willing to face it, it has more power over you. It means you now have to turn. If it starts to come into your field of vision, right? Like sometimes, let's say, one of your kids are going to go traveling, and you're terrified, like, oh, what's going on in the world. Maybe you're afraid that your kid's going to travel. So something like that you're so scared about, you may not even want to write it down. Like, oh my God, I'm worried that. You may be afraid to write that down. And by not writing that down, you're actually leaving it with more power. By writing it down and being willing to face it, you're taking the power away from it. Don't worry, you're not creating it. You're not making it happen. You're taking the power away from it. And one of the things you can also do with the brain drain is if you get in a habit of writing for 5 minutes or 10 minutes every day, all this stuff that you want to get out of you, you can also take it and rip it up and throw it away, or you could take it in a safe place like out in a barbecue or whatever and burn it. Those are two things you could do. Or you can keep it if you feel comfortable that no one's ever going to get a hold of it. I recommend, when I taught this to a lot of different, when I did stress workshops for many companies throughout the last 25 years, I always recommend people burn it or rip it up so that they wouldn't be inhibited to write down a lot of stuff that they would not write down with the possibility of someone ever finding it. So I'm going to recommend that you do that in the beginning, rip it up. The last type of journaling I'm going to talk about is just a little brief, kind of like state of affairs, what's going on in life right now. And that's really good because that helps you get a grasp. Sometimes we have so many changes going on, so many things happening, so much stuff going on in our lives. A lot of times you might feel like overwhelmed or wiped out and you don't know why. But then when you look back at like the little journal entries you've done over the last few weeks and months, then you remind yourself like, oh wow, yeah, you know, my friend so-and-so, this was going on and this one was in the hospital and I had to do this and we had to go deal with this legal issue and we had to go deal with this family issue. And as you start to look back over all the little notes that you took, it kind of reminds you of how fast things have been happening and how intense some things were. So it helps you get a grip and some clarity on what's been going on in your life. So those are 3 different ways to journal. If you had to pick one, I would say chances are gratitude journaling would be the habit you want to nurture the most. But you know, don't discount the power of that morning pages or that brain drain journaling, get all that stuff out of you. And then the regular, just kind of keeping notes on the state of affairs of where things are, that's good for clarity as well. Hope this helps you, and we look forward to our next post.